Hi there, welcome to Comfy Cozy Crochet with Tris. I am Tris, and I just want to welcome you to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for taking the time to come back and see me again. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Today we are doing a little bit of a different video. Throughout YouTube, all different genres of content, I have seen people do kind of more of a getting to know you tags and such, and I wanted to kind of get that going a little bit more. So I am doing a 10 non-yarny things about me. I wasn't tagged by anybody, but I've seen various people, like I said, through all types of YouTube content. So I thought this would just be a fun video to do, just to get to know each other a little bit better. Maybe you guys can leave a couple things down below that are unique about you and something that I may not have known. And if anybody decides they want to do this, please feel free. Maybe I'll tag some people at the end here, but I want everybody to feel super welcome to post some things about them, because some of the most fun things about putting on a YouTube channel is just getting to know all of you guys in the comments. You guys have been so warm and welcoming and posting some of the nicest, sweetest comments, and I want all of you to know that I read every single comment. I do my very best to comment back to everybody who's left me a comment. If I haven't, my apologies, it has just slipped through and I've managed to miss it. Please let me know and I will go back and find your comment and read it and reply. So thank you so much to all of you. So let's just get started, shall we? Hopefully this is interesting. If it's not, I apologize, but here's some fun things, okay? 10 non-yarny things. And by the way, this was really hard. I kept coming up with yarny things. That's not the point. So I through doing this, let me tell you, I definitely found out how uninteresting I actually am. Number one, I got a college degree quite a bit later in life. I didn't go back to school until I was 27 years old, almost 28. I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do for the longest time. And then, you know, trying to figure out how to financially do that after I'd already, you know, left the nest and been working for quite some time. And how do you go backward and do it all over again? And I figured it out and went back to school at the University of Washington. Go Dogs. I ended up going originally to get my degree in Russian language, but I was a full year into the program, getting ready to start my second year. In fact, getting ready to start an intensive summer program that was going to count as my whole second year. And my advisor told me, hey, if you want to work as an interpreter, which I did, you're basically going to need to go to either Monterey, California or Langley, Virginia, and go into a language institute after you get your degree, your bachelor's degree here at UW. That wasn't going to work for me. I was already 28 years old, working on being 29 at the time. I wanted to get married and start a family. I was already, you know, very seriously involved with my husband, and we were like, this is not going to work. I'm not going to move out of state for a couple more years, because I think it was a 2 or 3 year program that they wanted me to do after that. So I had to pivot rather quickly. I decided that I just wanted to get a degree kind of in something so that I could get into the job market and kind of figure it out. And I knew that I very possibly was going to want to go back to graduate school for something since I hadn't figured it out. Long story short, I ended up getting my degree in world history because it's something I loved. I'm a huge geography buff. I'm a huge world history buff. I really got into it when I was doing a big family tree kind of heritage type project in, I think, 7th or 8th grade. And so I got really into it then, and it just continued. That's actually where some of the Russian history came in. And I ended up then switching to, like I said, world history, but I had already taken several Russian literature courses and loved them, couldn't get enough. And so I ended up getting a minor in Russian literature. So I now have a big old degree in something that I'm not using at all, which is kind of hilarious, but I loved every minute of it. I am totally a student at heart. I love to learn, and I cannot wait to go back to graduate school when the kiddo is a little bit older and he's going back to school. I'm gonna go back to school as well. I am so excited. And I plan on going back to school for linguistics and getting a degree in speech and language pathology and becoming a speech therapist in the local school systems. So there's the first thing, and that probably took me 15 minutes just to tell you. So yeah, kind of a weird educational journey, but it's fun. It's fun. Number 2, I'm a travelaholic. Some of this kind of plays into the love of geography and the love of world history. I love learning about new cultures. I love social and cultural anthropology. I think it's amazing. Learning about other peoples and cultures and places is so interesting to me. I've been to several places, not a whole lot. I always go, I should have been to more places by this time in my life. But I've also been very, very fortunate to have gone to a few different countries that I love. So I had been to Mexico as a really little girl. After going to Disneyland, we just crossed the border into Tijuana. Wasn't that an experience? As a very little girl with her very young single mother. But did that, and then my very next foray into international travel was actually going to Italy and Greece with my mother. 2 of our friends came along, one of hers and one of mine, and my mom scrimped and saved and took me to Rome for a few days, and then on to Greece. We were supposed to have a couple of days in Athens. However, that got completely kiboshed because the travel agent kind of messed up and we didn't do our due diligence double checking them, and they basically came and got us and took us to the airport for a 1:30 flight in the afternoon that left at 9:30 in the morning. So we'd missed it by several hours, spent 2 glorious days sitting in the Rome airport in the middle of August, because that's when all of the Europeans also take their holiday. So we literally could not buy a ticket to get from Rome to Greece for 2 full days. We got to Athens just in time to board our cruise to the Greek islands. And I believe we had 5 or 6 days on this cruise to the Greek islands. It wasn't any big, huge, fancy cruise ship. It was just mostly island hopping. We got to go to several islands: Mykonos, Santorini, Rhodes, Crete. I know I'm missing a couple. But anyway, it was glorious. Greece to this day is my favorite place I've ever been, and I still haven't scratched the surface. I know that there are so many other islands that I want to see, and I want to see Athens so bad. I need to see the Acropolis. So I'm a huge travel junkie. I went to Tulum with my husband. I've been to Cabo San Lucas, both as different vacations as you could possibly get in the same country. Going to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico and going to Tulum in Mexico are 2 very different experiences in my mind. Cabo is not for me, I have noticed, and Tulum is mostly because we went to Chichen Itza, which was just a few hours, I guess, northwest of Tulum, and got to see one of the ancient world wonders, and it was amazing. Also, Tulum is, I believe, the only Mayan ruin on the coast of Mexico. So we got to go to those ruins and see that, and there's so much culture and history present there. It was amazing. They were just fabulous, fabulous trip. Then we went to Bora Bora for a honeymoon, and that can't be beat. There are so many people that say, like, oh yeah, you know how beautiful it looks in a postcard and it's fabulous, and then you go there and it's kind of disappointing. You know, it's really, you see those all the time, like, this is what the monument's supposed to look like, here's the reality of what it really looks like, and it's filled with tourists, or it's smoggy, or it's dirty, or, you know, it's been vandalized or something. No, Bora Bora is exactly what it looks like on the postcards. Anyway, we had a big trip planned to go to Turks and Caicos in May. We decided to cancel our trip to Provo. We decided to cancel our trip to Provo when the pandemic kind of took over everything, and we're hoping that we'll get to go someplace maybe this coming year. So anyway, that was all a big long-winded thing to tell you I'm a travel junkie, and once you get me started talking about travel, I just can't stop. We're never going to get through the rest of these 10 questions. Moving on. Number 3, I have heterochromia. This essentially means that I have 2 different colored eyes. And there are lots of variations of heterochromia. You can either be born with it, or it can be something that can happen because of injury to your eye, and basically scarring of the eye will change the color of the eye. Mine is something that I was born with. I was born with blue eyes, and slowly as I got older, my left eye just sort of got taken over with brown. So about 3/4 of my left eye is brown, and the very bottom down here still is that blue-green color. This eye color is solely kind of a real dark bluish green that kind of, you know, changes a little bit here and there based on what I'm wearing or whatever. But because it's such a dark bluish green, it's easy for people to go, oh yeah, she has brown eyes. And so people usually don't notice for quite a while, and all of a sudden maybe I'll know someone for 2 or 3 years, we'll be having a conversation, and all of a sudden they'll go, what? You have 2 different colored eyes! And it mortifies me every time. I'm like, can we move on? I do not need it. Because inevitably everybody goes, what? They do? She does? And then all of a sudden I'm just mortified and want to sink into the floor. But it's kind of a cool thing. It took me a long time to even figure out like what it was or how it happened. And you know, several people have it. If you're familiar with Kate Bosworth, she's a beautiful model who has a very, very stark heterochromia. So she has really, really baby blue eyes that are really vivid, and then a brown patch that's really easy to see. Demi Moore has it. Several people have it. A lot of people who have like one blue eye and one green eye. It's less noticeable, but it's the same thing. Anyway, just kind of a fun fact. Number 4, I hated home ec. Absolutely detested it. I grew up saying I didn't have a creative bone in my body. I have several people in my family who are incredible artists. One of my grandmothers is a huge crochet junkie and always has been. She tried to teach me several times and it never stuck. And I will go into that a little bit later with one of my other facts. But I was only around her mostly during summers and like Christmas breaks. And so she would teach me and I would get a little bit more decent at chaining and things like that. And then I would come back home to Washington and lose everything that I was taught. My cousin is a fabulous artist and has made a living at it. She's just incredible. I literally can't draw a straight line. I can't make a box that doesn't look wonky. I can't sketch anything. My stick figures are sad, sad sight. My mom is actually really a pretty great artist too. She can look at a picture of something and kind of just sketch it out, and it looks pretty dang good. She's also a fabulous cook, so is my gram, and my gram can craft crazy things. She can see that something and go, I can make that. And I just never had any of that. I very nearly failed home ec. It was like the first grade I'd ever gotten below a B in my life. I'd never gotten a C or below, and I was heartbroken because like I couldn't sew, I couldn't cook, I couldn't do any of the crafts. It was bad. So now being a stay-at-home mom whose favorite thing in the world is to crochet and to find a new recipe to cook is laughable. And anybody who knew me in high school would die laughing if they hadn't slowly seen this progression throughout my life. Number 4, I showed dogs for many years. I'm a huge dog lover, and I grew up with a lot of gun dogs. And we had English Springer Spaniels growing up, and I got hooked up with a breeder friend of mine who ended up being like a second mama to me. She's been incredible all through my life and such a wonderful role model. She taught me so much about dogs and breeding and showing and different aspects of that world. And then I fell in love with Papillons, which are actually a toy breed. And so I ended up going from medium-sized sporting dogs to small pet companion toy dogs. But they're actually a part of the same Spaniel family, and they actually have pretty similar characteristics as far as temperament goes. I needed something lively and fun and friendly, not something that was going to end up biting you or being a liability. And so I ended up choosing Papillons, and I haven't looked back since. I have 3. Every once in a while, you'll either probably see them walk by me, or you will have one of them in my lap, or you'll hear them barking at something or growling at each other or playing with each other. But I actually was fairly successful for a little while. I have one American and Canadian champion boy still, and he actually was this close to getting his grand championship when I decided that I wanted to go back to school and that I just couldn't continue showing dogs. He has now gotten old, and so he's just a very, very spoiled pet now, and he always was very, very spoiled. But now he doesn't have to go to dog shows every weekend if he doesn't want to. He just gets to chill and snuggle with his mom. So I love my dogs, and I loved dog showing, and on Thanksgiving every year you can find me glued to the dog show while everybody else is trying to fight me for football time. Number 6, I don't really like chocolate. Everyone believes that all women like chocolate. I really don't. I really don't. Don't get me wrong, I like chocolate chip cookies as much as the next person. I'll eat a Snickers here and there. I don't actually have much of a sweet tooth in general. I prefer savory or sour or bitter or salty foods in particular. Not a big fan of sweets if I have a choice as to what I'm going to be eating, but every once in a while if I have a sweet tooth, I want a Starburst, I want a Sour Patch Kid, I want a cookie. If you put a bar of chocolate in front of me that's just plain chocolate, I'm not gonna eat it. No thank you. My mom actually popped a Hershey's Kiss in my mouth one time without looking, and I gagged. I don't know. And I like a Butterfinger, you know, I like a Snickers, especially if it's Snickers almonds. But it's just not my go-to. You know, I love toffee, and like English toffee is like my favorite thing in the world. I love a Score bar. Does anybody know what a Score bar is? Everybody knows what a Heath bar is, but I think Scores are better because they have less chocolate. Anytime they have less chocolate, I'm like, that's right. If I eat like a Heath bar, I eat the chocolate off the top first and like get that down, and then I savor the toffee. Anybody else do that? Am I just a weirdo? Anyway, kind of a boring fact, but a fact nonetheless. Number 7, but I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I love trying new foods. I love spicy foods. I could easily eat at a different type of restaurant every single day. Mexican and Thai are probably my 2 favorites, probably because they're both spicy. I love a good Italian here and there. I love Russian pierogi or pelmeni. One of my favorite things to do that I've done on many a birthday is my mom and I will go to Pike Place Market, and we will basically eat our way through the market all day. I mean, we do more than just eat, but it's like, hey, we have a little snack here, we have a euro at the stand, we go and look at the flowers, we go and look at the little knickknacks, we go and look at, you know, whatever, then we go and get some Russian dumplings, then we go back and, you know, do whatever. Anyway, we totally eat through the market. I love to go out to eat. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I always hated to cook until about the last 5 or 6 years or so, and then I've started to experiment in the kitchen a little bit more, and I'm deciding that I like it quite a bit. But I don't like the timetables of cooking. I don't like the cleanup afterward. I much prefer to not have to do that. Also, let's be real, the restaurants taste better than my cooking, even when I can make a really yummy dish. I'm still like, it just tastes better when somebody else cooked it for you, you know? Like, when your mom cooks you the same exact recipe that you cook, it just never tastes the same. It just doesn't have that touch, you know? So I'm a foodie. My husband is not. So he's always like, really? He likes to eat, don't get me wrong, and he's actually not a picky eater, but he does not understand my passion for really yummy food. He's like, it's all right, it's food. I'm like, you want to try a bite of mine? No, I don't. I wanted what I ordered. That's why I ordered it. Well, you need to try mine too. Can I try yours? That's me. He's like, no, I ordered what I want. I'm good. Number 8, I actually had a booktube channel that I had started several years ago now, right after we got married, I think, before we moved to this house, before we got pregnant and had Grant, and I had a few subscribers here and there, and several of them actually stuck with me. I think when I started the crochet channel, I think I had like 35 YouTube followers that were from when I had my booktube channel, and I loved it because basically what I'm telling you is I am a huge bookworm. I am a nerd. Like I said, I absolutely have a minor in Russian literature. Who has that, you know? Nobody who's not going into Russian language or Russian history. But I love to read. I love the classics. I love the smut. I love a good paranormal romance. I love a mystery. I love a really good mystery. I like fantasy. I love travel books. I mean, can you imagine? Like, a travel book basically encompasses all of my loves. Like, there's usually food in there, international cuisine, travel, and reading. If she happens to be knitting on her adventures, it's a match made in heaven. I'm done. If I find that book, I'm done. Let me know if you found that book. But yeah, I've got a library upstairs in my house. It is filled with wall-to-wall white bookshelves, and it is filled with everything from Austen to Dickens to Tolstoy to anything. You name it, it's probably up there. And it's one of my favorite rooms in the entire house. Between my crochet nook and my library, those are my zen places, and I love them. I haven't gotten to spend as much time there recently after having a baby. My hands are a little full. I don't get as much reading time in as I'd like to, but I'm starting a new reading goal this year. Really excited. I've got some book lists. I'm going to cull it down. I'm going to curate a list that I found, make it a little bit more to my standards, but I'm going to get some classics in there this year that I've been promising myself. I'm going to get back into the reading bandwagon. Number 9, I did not want children. Did not want children. I did not think that I had the patience to be a mother, and I was really afraid that I was going to be a mean mommy. You know, I thought that I was just too selfish to be a mom, and that I really wanted to travel the world and really get my career underway and focus on that, and I just thought, I'm just too selfish. I want too many things for myself to have a kid too, and to really do a good job of like catering to that baby. And my husband is a huge kid person. He loves children. He's a kid at heart himself, and he couldn't imagine his life not being a daddy. And we had to have like some big, you know, heart-to-hearts and kind of decide like, are we right for each other if I don't want kids and you do? And loving him kind of changed my mind, essentially. Like, I knew that I could do it if I had him by my side, because I knew that I wasn't going to be alone in it. And I'd seen a lot of women have babies, and it's entirely their responsibility, and the father's not around as often, and you know, is off making money and is not super duper present. I've known a lot of men who are epically good fathers as well, but I was just so afraid that I wouldn't end up finding someone who would be my partner in every way. and he is. And we just in October of 2019 welcomed a baby boy named Grant, and he is my whole entire world. He is the light of my life. I cannot imagine myself without him. He is the best thing that I've ever done. And I used to hear people say those kind of things, and I just thought, what a cliche. They're only saying that because they feel like they have to. Nope. Love him. Can't imagine my life without him. Would never, ever have it any other way. And you know what I realized? He can come with us on our trips. Or we can go have a mommy and daddy time on a trip and come back and love on him too. I can still have a career and have a baby. That's okay. I'm just gonna do it later. So anyway, I guess we got kind of deep in that. Maybe I shouldn't have gone that deep in a 10 non-yarny things about me, but I did. And number 10, I was kind of raised both in Washington State and in Wyoming. I was originally born in Wyoming. Most of my mom's family lives in Wyoming, and so basically it was just my mom and... Sorry about that, it cut off on us. So I think we're in number 10 here, and number 10 and the final thing is that I was raised both in Washington State and in Wyoming. My mother's family was almost entirely in Wyoming growing up. There's a few smattering in California and in Georgia, Illinois, places like that, but for the most part, Wyoming. My mom and one set of grandparents lived here in Washington State, and everybody else was in Wyoming, and my mom is also a teacher. So every summer break and every winter break, we flew or drove to Wyoming, and we spent the holidays and the summer break with my cousins and my family members there. And I kind of grew up with a very different view of the world, I think, because of that, because I grew up in two very different parts of the United States with very different views from one another, and both coastal and landlocked, hunting and fishing, and big city in Seattle. Just so many different aspects to my personality are very different than if I were to be born and raised in either Wyoming or Washington. So if I talk about Wyoming or a little bit of a Midwestern slur starts coming out in different videos, you'll know why. I used to have a t-shirt in high school that said Urban Cowgirl, and that's pretty much the epitome of who I am. Although I'm not urban at all. I am absolutely a suburbs girl. Somebody asked that in a live that I was attending a few weeks ago. I don't even remember who it was, but they were like, would you rather it be, you know, be in the city or in the country? And I'm like, suburbs all the way. But anyway, so there's that. There's 10 non-yarny things about me. I'll throw in one bonus one that I think is kind of a fun thing. I'm kind of a car enthusiast. I love cars. I have so much fun with them. I'm not trying to say that I know my way around a car as far as mechanics go. I don't. I can name off parts of a car. I know the basics as far as the inner workings of like an engine or cars or things like that. But at the same time, I love cars, and I can usually, you know, pick them out of a lineup of, you know, we'll be driving down the road and my husband Sean will go, dang, what was that? I'm like, that was a Maserati, did you see it? Or that was a Lotus. And I flip out and I get so excited, and I totally geek out over a really nice car. And my husband, on the other hand, knows nothing about cars unless it's a Tesla. He's a Tesla enthusiast, and so he is all about the electric vehicle game. And to be quite honest, couldn't pick a Ford from a Chevy logo until a couple of years ago. Don't tell him I told you that. He would be embarrassed. We're not going to mention it. So anyway, there are 10 plus one bonus fact non-yarny things about me. Let me know if you've got anything fun you'd like to share with me down below. Hope you had fun with this. If you don't, that's okay, just skip it. But thought I'd just kind of get to know you guys a little bit better. Getting to know you guys in the comments is always my favorite part of every video. So I thought I'd do a little bit of something to just share a little bit of me with you guys. And hope you guys are having a great night, a great day, a great evening, whenever you're watching this. I love you guys. Hope you're having a great night. Bye now.